This is changing the cylinder head out twice. The first time I thought it was a gasket, but it was actually a crack in the cylinder head. And this is after about 40 miles or so. Seems to be doing alright. This is for, I believe, a header gasket replacement. I tried starting it the other day. It was either a little funny. Noticed some water coming out of the exhaust manifold. So I shut it off, poked around, and then tried starting it back up, and it wouldn't start. I think it was hydrolocked. So I started pulling the spark plugs out, and the third one was full of water. So I'm starting to tear it apart and see if that's exactly what it is. So most of these gaskets were almost welded on the metal portions of it, and I think it was the head was clean, or the block was cleaned off completely, and it seemed like I'd find more over and over. These tools kind of work the best. This one with this edge, it's really sharp, so you got to kind of be careful you don't scrape it too hard, but it seemed to work the best. This one was okay, and then I would go over it with a 2000 grit flat sponge. So I used a lot of WD-40 and just let it kind of soak in and loosen everything up. And then I used the scrapers to just keep scraping the edge and try not to gouge it. After that, I would vacuum. I'd go over it and over it, vacuum in between, blow some of it out. I used a 2000 grit sponge after the final. This isn't the final, it needs a little more work. On the threads, I was going to use a thread chaser or a tap, and I started reading about it online. It looked like some people had some major problems. I guess they used the tap and it kind of messed up their threads. So I was afraid to even use the thread chaser. But the best thing I saw was somebody said they used the same bolts that go in, and they just cut lengthwise lines, maybe 3 or 4, and use that as a chaser to kind of clean out the threads and blow everything out. This is kind of strange. I noticed this right here. I'm probably gonna have to bust it off. This is a little loose, and if that were to break off and go inside the valve train, it wouldn't be good. So these ones look kind of normal, but these are chipped up a little bit right. But that one has a piece kind of hanging all the way down here, so I'm probably going to put something underneath it to keep it from going down inside and then bust it off. Here's the piece I pulled from there, from that spot right there, and I do think I saw a few shards last couple of oil changes back, and I didn't know where they came from, and that's probably what it was. It's a big piece of metal. These are Velcro gaskets, and they're marked front right here, and you see this square section will go to the front. So there were actually 2 cracks, hairline cracks on this head. I had to use the magnifying glass to see it, and one right here, you can kind of see it, but it actually goes in here. If you look with the magnifying glass, you can kind of see a little crack. And this one I just spotted right between these 2 valves right there. So actually from eBay I got another head off a 1968. Everything matches up, the numbers 68 Thunderbird, but it seems like it'll match up just fine. That's C8VE-E. So the tips of these valves are worn way more than on the one I just picked up. So I'm going to take my old valves out. I don't know if you can see this, but the tip's really worn. So I'm going to switch them out and hand lap them, and hopefully that helps. Hopefully it works. WD-40 lapping compound. On these valves, on the stem, on the tip, there's like a little ridge. So if you can, try to grind that down or sand it down a little bit before you pull it out so it doesn't scratch the valve stem. On the rocker arms, I tighten them down to where there's just a little bit of movement, and the push rod still spins freely. Went ahead and remarked my timing cover, my timing marks on the damper, and going to change the oil in the filter, and then I'm gonna pre-lube the oil pump by sticking a drill down here and spinning the pump and to get oil pressure up to the top of these rockers. So after the first startup, I just let it run for like 5-10 seconds and then shut it off. And I'm going back and checking these, and these two are really loose. So I'm just tightening back up a little bit more before I do the adjustment, just to make sure it's not way too loose. After changing out the cracked head, there was still water in the muffler, and it was pushing out white smoke. As soon as I pulled it off, it seems to be good.